Paltrocast.
Well, thank you for taking the time. I'm going to say good morning, or is it good afternoon by you?
It's 11, so whichever you prefer.
Well, for you, it's good morning. For me, it's good afternoon. Thank you for taking the time. How's the day going, aside from answering the same questions over and over and over again for media?
The day's going great. I got up, I got my workout in, I got a Chick-fil-A burrito. I'm chilling. It's been a good day.
Was that a Chick-fil-A product placement? Are they one of your new endorsements because of the new EP and all that?
Oh my gosh, I wish Chick-fil-A was. I have like 3 t-shirts about Chick-fil-A, and I go there so much that the people that work in my hometown know me when I come through.
You never know what the Idol team can make happen because
So
they've got
real.
all the partnerships. So let's put that on the bucket list, the endorsement. But anyway, congrats on the new EP. When did you actually finish it?
I wrapped it up in about October.
Got it. Were you making it in secret? In other words, did they have to say, okay, so it's a TV person, but we can't say who it is? Because sometimes that does happen with big, high profile projects.
I wouldn't say that it was necessarily that much of a secret, but especially in terms of I like to say I'm Hannah Montana, so I was trying to go to school and do music at the same time.
Yeah.
So everybody, would see that I wasn't there a lot of the days and there were, nobody knew what the crap I was doing. So it is very refreshing to be able to say it was an EP and that's what I've been working on this whole time. So it was pretty secretive.
So you had the best of both worlds? Is that
I
the
sure did.
there you go. So what made you want to become a singer in the first place?
That's a great question. I grew up around music. My dad was a musician, and I like to say that I just came out of the womb singing. It's always been a part of me. And then, boy, hurt my feelings when I was like 12 or something, and I started writing songs, and it came together so chaotically, but in such perfection. So I wouldn't want to do anything else.
At what age was your first live gig?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't necessarily remember like my first Haven Madison gig, but I do remember my first time singing on stage. I was 7, I think, and I sang "Oh Holy Night" at church with my dad.
Wow. Did you have to really learn how to use a microphone? Because I think you can learn how to sing really well, but the second that you get the mic in your hand and you're not used to echoes and not being able to hear yourself, it's kind of a shock. It's almost like a skill into itself to learn that.
Right. I think I learned most of those things in church. I remember my first time like using my headphones and hearing things in my ears for the first time like that. It's definitely a skill, but for the first couple of things I did, I was a stick bug, and I just stood there with the mic and did the best I could.
There you go. So the American Idol stage, of course, that's a little different than singing in church. What was the hardest part of all that for you? Was it learning how to do media?
Honestly, I wouldn't say media was the hardest part. I would say being on a show that has judges and is technically a competition at the end of the day makes people very vocal. So I would say, it was very hard to like try to be on my phone or like scroll on Instagram and see what my friends were doing because people were, commenting whatever they thought or messaging me whatever they thought. And so just as a 16-year-old baby, getting used to the fact that there was like a middle-aged woman telling me I was talentless, that was pretty difficult to adjust to.
Yeah, so how do you handle the trolls? I mean, different people do different things. Some people ignore, some people say, "Oh yeah, today's the opposite day," that kind of a thing. What's your approach?
That's a good question. I think it kind of depends on the comment or the mood I'm in the day. I'm definitely not afraid to respond to them because I'm big on empowerment and spreading kindness and positivity. So I'm not afraid
Yeah.
to respond and be like, "Hey, like this is stupid. Just block me." Um, but for the most part, I do try to ignore it. But it's definitely nothing I'm foreign to at this point. I'm kind of just aware that even in my hometown, like I'm just kind of aware that my name's generally going to be in most people's mouths, but really there's not a bad publicity. All publicity is good publicity. So
Well said. Well, again, we were connected because you have a new EP out. Have you recorded other things? Are there demos? Do you know what the next release is looking like?
yeah, I'm actually starting to form my plan for the next release, which is really, really exciting. Lots of things coming up, but being a songwriter, not only do I do it recreationally for fun, but I'm signed on publishing. So my weeks
Hmm.
consist of rehearsals and meetings and social media, and then also writing sessions. So I have a very long list of demos that are very hard to pick from right now.
When it comes to writing sessions, from having worked with songwriters and producers, I know that some people come to the table as the top line person, the person who has the melody. Other people are the vibes person. All they do is they make sure that everyone's having a good time, they got along. Other people are the producer or engineer, the person's actually working the computer. Which one do you come to the table with usually?
I definitely come to the table with top lining, but I think something I enjoy and something that's cool about my writing is I'm not foreign to any other piece of it because I grew up with my dad and I was learning how to sing in the studio while he was learning how to produce. I know the sounds I want in the studio and I know the duplicates and doubles I want and the time frame. So I'm definitely not afraid to talk to the one that's behind the computer and explain what I want as well.
Wow. Okay. So you're a pro, you're a veteran at your age. That's the vibe I'm getting, that you were taking this seriously since you were probably 11 or 12.
I was, yeah. I mean, it was taken seriously, but it was also such a point of interest that it was never like, I need to learn how to produce. It was just like, whoa, like what buttons are you pushing right now, dad?
So no paper route, no working at the Gap. Your first job was basically American Idol.
I mean, I had my fair share of first jobs. I had my babysitting and I worked at like a arcade and I had my fair share, but definitely my first big girl task was going on American Idol and I wouldn't have it any other way.
That's fantastic. And are you aware of touring plans or anything like that? Or is that all under embargo till the time is right to unveil?
I mean, definitely, kicking, touching into the water, trying to figure out what we're thinking and stuff. I definitely do want to tour. I love a live show. It's kind of, I think touring is mainly determined by how much people care. So we kind of have to see what people think and how they consume the EP, but definitely touring is in the future.
When somebody sees you live, is it just basically going to be turn off all the lights and one or two covers? Do you know what your set list might look like?
Yeah, I think there's such a beauty and an art to a live show. It's not just turn on a track and play the song how you made it. It's make a new song. So I'm working on some live stuff right now. I've had some rehearsals because I've got a few showcases kind of spread across the country, and it's definitely an art to go back through and make each song fresh and make a new version. And I love covers. Definitely would play what I've released. I would love to play some unreleased stuff too. I take a lot of inspiration from the concerts I've been to. So yeah.
Oh, what's the last concert or two that you went to as a fan?
The last one I went to as a fan was Noah Khan. It was incredible. I would like 10 times over go again. It was insane.
Was your father making you go to a lot of concerts as a kid?
Oh no, he was never making me, but I actually I lived on a tour bus for the first 7 years of my life. I was homeschooled while he was a touring artist, so I grew up where every night was a concert, and so it was kind of just like my nature. And then once I got a little bit older, because he continued to be a touring musician, I could pick and choose when I wanted to join him or who he was going to be with. And even to this day, he's a speaker now. I'm actually going to Winter Jam tonight at Bridgestone, which is a Christian conference. So definitely there's a lot of options with seeing live shows and he pulls his connections to help me get inspired and learn.
That's another skill that you have that I don't think most people know, which is learning how to live off of a tour bus. You have years of experience of that already.
I do, yeah, and I honestly loved it. I was so young and so I didn't know anything different. I remember my first time in public school, I literally had to ask so many questions. I was like, okay, like what is an ACT? Like what is all this? I didn't know. So my normal day to day was sleeping on a bunk and setting up and like wrapping up all the wires and helping them get the riser set up. Like that was my normal. So
Were you drinking coffee at a young age also to keep up with those hours?
no, I was on the juice of Jesus somehow. I still don't like coffee. I'm sure I'm gonna get there eventually because I work like a mule, but I still not really into the coffee thing.
Unless there's an endorsement like your future Chick-fil-A endorsement, right? Then you love coffee.
Truth, truth.
Well, the last two questions before I let you go. First one is these unreleased songs of yours, because you're writing a lot more than you get to put out. Might those wind up with other artists, or there just have to be a Haven Madison posthumous box set that we wait 50 years for?
That's a great question. I think there's such beauty when an artist can learn that it's better to collaborate than to compete.
Mhm.
And I've learned that myself in working with other artists and seeing how other artists work. So I'm not opposed to, if I write a song and it just doesn't fall in my catalog, to handing it off to another artist. I think art um, is when it's right and when it's intentional, it's meant to be heard. It's not meant to sit in a file forever. So whether it sits in my file and eventually comes out with the right project, or whether I hand it off to another artist, depends on the song. But I definitely think that all art is meant to be heard.
Hmm. And the last question for you before I let you go, So far we've learned you're a Chick-fil-A person. You do go to concerts. You're writing a lot, not just as your career, but your hobby. What's the next big passion besides music and family and faith?
Yeah, that's a great question. I have always been a performer. I was that kid that was like, "Mom, like, watch me do a forward roll." So I love acting, I love modeling, I love fashion, and I want to go full swing into those things. I have an EGOT on my bucket list. So
Oh,
all things performance is what I love, and I'm just trying to kind of spread out into each zone and waters. But I think the theme between everything I do is just being authentically human. So finding different acting opportunities and fashion opportunities and modeling opportunities to display that as well.
EGOT, you just said it all right there. Well, thank you for your time, Haven. Looking forward to seeing you live in New York in the near future and the next release after the CP.
Yay! Thank you so much for your time.
Paltrocast.